What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I'm going to be doing part 3 of my mini series talking about my experience with cancer. If you guys haven't tuned in already, in the first episode I talked about how I basically found out about my diagnosis and the experiences that I had beforehand, which kind of helped lead me to see a doctor and just figuring out that something was wrong. And then in the second video, I talked about my whole chemotherapy treatment and just everything that I went through, like being hospitalized from the beginning of my diagnosis up to the point where I was basically discharged from the hospital for the last time and I finished my last chemotherapy treatment. So for today's video, this is basically going to be a continuation of that, where like the last part that I left off on was basically finishing treatment. So now it's about my life directly after treatment. I'm not going to go super far after treatment, like, because then I can talk about up to where I'm at right now, but I'm mostly just going to talk about finishing my high school experience, basically, because I got sick in the beginning of my junior year of high school, basically. So I think it's important to kind of like close off that part of my life by finishing and like talking about the end of high school. So let's get right into it. So right from the get-go, after my treatment, my main concern wasn't really like specifically school. My main concern was actually like the basketball team, and like wondering if I'll be able to play during my senior year, just because basketball was such a big part of my high school life. And same with the volleyball team also. So one of the first things that I focused on when I finished my treatment was basically recovering up to the point where I don't feel the side effects of my chemotherapy as much. I feel like the steroids that I had to take were the ones that kind of hit me a lot. The what was the name of that one medication? The I don't remember the name of the steroid, but yeah, that medication that I had to take to kind of like bring down my immune system also had a lot of side effects. But yeah, like once those started wearing off and I felt like I was back to normal, then I basically, like tried to get back into shape. I started going to the gym more. I started just like working myself up physically, because that also helped me mentally as well. So yeah, like once I don't remember how much, but I think I lost like up to 30 pounds in within a month, just because like while I was receiving my chemotherapy, they were also pumping like a lot of IV fluids to kind of dilute the medication so it's not as strong and I won't feel the side effects like as strongly. But yeah, like during my whole chemotherapy treatment, I gained a lot of weight and I basically bloated up, specifically like from the steroids too. But like after that, it was still like quite a challenge to lose all of that weight and to just basically get back in shape. I remember by the end of my treatment, I was struggling just to get out of bed and walk around, but I just kept pushing myself every day. And soon enough, I was able to, like walk a whole mile. And then that progressed to like half walking, half jogging a mile. And then later on, like being able to run a whole mile. I didn't worry too much about muscle like at the time, just because, like I feel like losing the weight is more important, especially when it comes to basketball. I need to be able to run up and down, or else I won't even be like able to play to begin with. But yeah, once I got that down and I was able to like somewhat be in shape, then I started thinking, okay, now I need to like study up and review before I start going back to school again. So with regards to school, I feel like everything was okay. I actually came back to school around like 2 months before the end of my senior year. And yeah, during that time, like I think APs were like around the corner, like the actual AP test. So I took, which one was it? AP chemistry. I took AP calculus, and then I think was it AP biology? It might have been bio. No, actually no. It was just AP chemistry and then AP calculus that I took, and I think both went fine. Like I honestly don't remember too much because it didn't really affect like my college classes. I still had to take both courses. Um, but yeah, like it was somewhat stressful coming back, but overall I feel like I was able to like pick myself back up. I had to go to a chemistry like this building near my school that was like for chemistry tutoring, just to kind of like catch up, because AP chemistry was such a like struggle for me. But yeah, once I returned to school, everything was fine. And then I knew during the time when I came back, like the basketball team was doing after school workouts as well. So I joined in on some of those, but like I wasn't pushing myself too hard just to make sure that, like I don't injure myself or anything. But yeah, I think all of the extra work that I put in like ended up paying off, because the following year during my senior year, I felt as if like the whole thing didn't happen. I was able to join all of the teams, do all of like the preseason practices, preseason workouts. I got cleared to like participate and everything. And then with regards to school, like I was able to like apply for college. Normally, my school offered like a summer boot camp for applying for college, so I attended that. And then yeah, like I was able to apply for college. I mostly applied for just Southern California colleges, just because I wanted to stay close to home. I wanted to stay close to like the hospital where I was at, so that my doctors are going to be there and I won't need to like struggle with finding a new doctor who might not be as familiar with my case. Um, because I knew that I still needed to have a lot of follow up appointments after, even though I was done with my treatment. And yeah, that was basically my life going back to school like directly after my treatment. I mean, one cool thing that I want to add, but like not to flex or anything, but I was actually able to become the captain for both my basketball and my volleyball team. Um, like it was just a great time, like it was a struggle getting back into shape for it, but once like I saw the progress, I kind of like got obsessed with how much I was like improving and how much I was recovering, that it rolled on. Even when I got to the point where like my physical peak before I got sick, when I reached that point, I still kept progressing forward, because I kept thinking like, oh man, like if I keep this up, I can keep getting better and better and better. So yeah, like that was really cool. Like I just love playing basketball and volleyball. Like those were so much fun and was definitely the highlight of my high school career. And then applied for college. I got accepted to a couple. UCI, where I'm going to right now for medical school, actually accepted me back for college as well. And USC accepted me with a scholarship offer. And like those were the top two choices that I had in mind. So I was basically trying to decide between those two, but I ended up choosing USC because of that scholarship offer. And then, yeah, like everything was great. And then to top everything off, like the cherry on top of the cake was Make a Wish actually reached out to my family during that time, like in the middle of my senior year. They reached out because we applied like earlier on. But then by that time when they reached out and I found out about the news, like my parents were very excited. But to me, I was kind of confused, because my whole idea about Make a Wish was like, oh yeah, they like do a lot of like really cool things for children who are very, very sick. And some of them might have like terminal illnesses. And during that time when they told me that like, oh yeah, like Make a Wish wants to like do something for us, I was thinking like, oh no, 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 like let's, like I think that should go to like the kids that I saw at the hospital that seemed to be like way worse off than me, or the kids that seemed to be like having a way harder time than like what I was going through. Um, but they said, oh no, like we calculate everything. We're not gonna forget about them too. We just know like because of your application and everything, like we have enough for you and your family as well to grant you your wish. And I remember making my wish. Like there were two main wishes that I had. One was kind of like just being selfish and thinking about myself. I was like, oh yeah, like I want to meet Kobe Bryant, like rest in peace Kobe. But yeah, back then I was like, oh, I want to meet Kobe Bryant. Like can we set up like maybe I can go like hang out with him, watch his workouts and stuff back then. And that was my like one wish. But then the other wish I thought was like, oh yeah, like my family's religious, we're Catholic, so I was like, it would be cool if we can go to Rome and like see the Pope. So I think that's why I ended up making as my top wish, just to like go to Rome and just see the place. And then it ended up like working out where they flew us all the way to Rome, set up like a tour guide for us. And when the Pope was doing like a mass, we even had like special seats where the Pope would walk around and just, like shake our hand and stuff. And I was like, wow, like that was so crazy. Just being able to go there to begin with was crazy. So yeah, like huge shout out to Make a Wish. They're amazing. Their whole mission is amazing. And I know for sure in the future, like once I'm able to make some money, I'll be donating to Make a Wish too. So yeah, big shout out to them. Okay, so I know like everything that I mentioned so far about my life directly after my treatment seemed all like good. There was the struggle stage of getting back to normal. Once I got past that, everything was good. But there are also like a number of negative things that affected me during that time. The first thing was I'm pretty sure like you guys can notice it still affects me today actually, and it's just basically like my hair being thin. Um, I think during the time, like it was still fresh off of treatment. So whenever I would see a doctor and ask about it, they say like, oh yeah, like maybe we're still waiting for the effects of the chemo to wear out. And then once that wears off, like your hair will start growing normally again. They have some patients like that before their treatment had straight hair. And then when they came out of their treatment had curly hair. They had people that had the opposite. But for a number of their patients, they have like their hair just never grew back because they have the gene for like that's maybe male pattern baldness or something, and the chemo kind of accelerated the progression of that gene. So when you come out of it, you just are affected by it, and you're just not able to basically like grow hair, or your hair starts thinning out, which is what's happening to me. So that's one thing that affected me. The next thing was stretch marks, just because as I mentioned, I gained a lot of weight like during my treatment, and a lot of it is from, like just being attached to an IV continuously for basically a whole week while I was receiving my treatment, alongside with the steroids that I had to take to kind of keep my immune system down. That was a lot. And also like during my treatment, I feel like one of the side effects was hunger. Like I just stayed hungry and kept eating during that time. And like my mom and dad would always like spoil me with food. So I just kept eating, and I just gained a lot of weight during that time. But yeah. So that's another thing. I have a lot of stretch marks. My hair got thin, and then there's also like this weird sensation of like the tips of my fingers being numb, and that was definitely from one of the chemotherapies that was administered to me. It's called like peripheral nerve neuropathy. um and yeah, like it's numb now. I don't feel it, but sometimes, when it gets really cold, I would end up feeling like, oh, like my fingertips are numb. And it's not like, like when you're in the freezing cold your fingertips like numb up naturally. I'm talking about like less than 70 degrees. Sometimes my fingertips feels like it's a little bit numb, but it hasn't really affected me too much now. But back then it was definitely like really, really weird. And yeah, those were basically all of the negative side effects that I experienced directly after my treatment, like within a year and a half after my treatment. They're not too bad, like honestly, compared to anything else that could have happened. But yeah, I just wanted to end this video off on a good note. Like after my treatment, my life was basically on an upward trajectory. And that's what they say, like whenever you feel like you're down, the only way to go is up. So, that's one thing that my whole experience taught me, was just to basically, whenever you're facing a challenge, one thing that you can't control is your outlook on it. So if you can make it better, do it. But yeah, as I said in my previous videos, if you guys know somebody that might be struggling, or like have somebody that has like somebody close to them that's going through this, then make sure to reach out, check in on them. And yeah, as I said, if you yourself are going through this, make sure to reach out for help. And with that said, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.